Hey, good morning and happy Wednesday. I was just messaging with one of you, hello, David, about Joyfully Managed Worklife. And I realized that I've been saying some things over the last couple of weeks about who it is good for when I chat with people who are thinking about joining. And so here's a few of the things that I've been saying. So I've had, at this point, dozens and dozens of people who've done the program, and it's a diverse crew of folks. So folks are coming from lots of different roles and contexts. But there are folks who I know because of what they've told me, and because, I stay in pretty good touch with alums. Folks are always like, hey, Jess, can you give me some advice on this? And I love to support people that way. So there are a handful of types of situations that people are in that tend to make this program particularly helpful for folks. And so okay, so here are some of the groups. Number one, folks who are in a moment of transition. So, for example, there's actually somebody joining this cohort who is closing a business and moving into a full-time role in an organization, and just wants to kind of do a reset. Another person who's likely to join is kind of just worked like a bananas last few months, just super hard, and needs a hard reset of systems to get back to kind of equilibrium. So if you're in a moment of transition, changing jobs, something has changed in your life, that's a really good time to do this program, right? That's one. Number two are people who are relatively organized. And when they hear ideas from folks who spend all day thinking and reading about how to create systems, how to not burn out, all of those things, so those folks, they are able to very quickly take ideas that they're hearing and principles, kind of very quickly see how they can apply them in their lives because they have that natural organization already there. Number three are people who are kind of always been a little bit of a hot mess. You know what I mean? And these are some of my favorites because they are very, very talented in so many ways, but nobody would ever accuse them of being the most organized person in the room. You know what I mean? They would not say I've got good systems. And sometimes they're very self-deprecating about it. They're I'm a little bit of a mess, and those folks tend to find this really helpful because they're already talented. They're already achieving in their career, but they know that if they can get kind of their systems and structures a little bit better, it will really help them. So those folks tend to really love this program as well. And there's a couple more types. Okay, and then the last couple groups, they're kind of different from each other, but they are, number one, entrepreneurs, because they often don't have access to kind of team systems and things like that. And as entrepreneurs, we have to set up our own systems. And so a lot of folks who are solopreneurs, consultants, stuff like that, tend to find this really helpful because they really need to set those systems because they're not given those systems by an organization. And then number five is people who lead teams. And this is what, I have done for most of my career. I do a little bit of it now with a small team, but, I have been a nonprofit executive director. And so, I've led large teams, and they are able to take what we're talking about and not only apply it in their own work, but they often bring some of those systems to their entire teams. And we often coach in some of the sessions about how to actually do that, but they tend to find this really valuable.